Hi, my name is Bridget Larson, and I'm doing my primary analysis on King Tutankhamun's funerary mask. The Mask of King Tutankhamun is one of the most recognizable ancient artifacts in the world. Its beauty is captivating. King Tutankhamun was known as the Boy King because he came to power at age 9. The mask is said to be from 1323 to 1324 BCE, however, accounts vary on the exact year. The Egyptians viewed afterlife much like we think of heaven. They expected blue skies, familiar objects, and the people they knew, as well as agreeable weather. And your ticket to heaven depended on the final judgment, where confessions were recited and your heart was weighed against a feather by Osiris. There is even a spell carved into the back of the mask from chapter 151 of the Book of the Dead that provides a roadmap to the afterlife, which would protect him and his limbs as he moved through. A little backstory on King Tutankhamun and why he's so significant is his parents were brother and sister. His father was Akhenaten, who had the Egyptians shift to a monotheistic religion and worship the sun god Aten. His mother previously was thought to be Kia, however, new DNA tests have determined it is the mummy named Younger Lady. When he became pharaoh, he married his sister and reversed his father's mandate, which is probably the most significant thing he did during his short reign. Because of years of incest, he had physical deformities and walked using a cane and never produced an heir. He also died at the age of 19, and possible causes for his death could be murder, sickness like sepsis or gangrene, or that he died from wounds sustained in battle. The tomb of King Tutankhamun was discovered in November of 1922 in the Valley of the Kings by archaeologist Howard Carter, who was financed by the Earl of Carnarvon. However, the mask was not discovered until 1925 because it took over 10 years to remove the more than 5,000 artifacts from the tomb. Some people believe that those involved in the removal of Tut and his treasures were cursed. For example, Earl Carnarvon died shortly after opening the tomb from blood poisoning. Others that worked on the site committed suicide, died in fire, or from respiratory failure. However, I would like to mention that many of the people that died of the curse were proper age at the time. Several Egyptologists and other scholars have wondered if the mask was even made for him. Some say it resembles Queen Nefertiti and that some of the cartouches inscribed on it could have even been hers. This has been explained by the different types of gold and the different methods used for inscription and how it looks like they've been altered. Another fact that raises questions about his burial and mummification is that he was missing his heart, a crucial organ for the afterlife. His tomb was also smaller than others at the time, and there was mold growing on the walls suggesting that the paint was still wet when it was sealed. There were several minifigures in there that did not look like him, and some of the items that were in there were put together wrong, suggesting they were put together in a hurry. Tutankhamun's funerary mask is made of two types of high-carat gold and weighs about 25 pounds, 22 of which are solid gold. It is almost 2 feet tall, and the beard alone weighs close to 5 pounds. The gold used to make the mask was retrieved from alluvial deposits and quartz rock in the modern-day Eastern Day desert region of Egypt and northern Sudan. The stones used in creating the mask are lapis lazuli, Turkish obsidian, quartz, and other precious stones. The mask itself was formed using tools of the time by skilled artisans who were proficient at hammering, soldering, and inlaying stones. The gold was made into thin sheets and adhesive together, then smoothed and shaped and decorated into the gold mask we see today. It is unclear how the gold was refined or what they used to adhesive the layers of gold together, and it could have taken as long as 6 months to make. When thinking about artistic and stylistic elements, it's easy to see that there is a religious element as well. The first thing you see are lines. The lines are thicker on the headpiece and thinner on the neck and collar, and this is because in between the thinner lines are the inlaid stones. The stones vary in size and color against the gold, producing a vivid contrast. The mask wears a headcloth known as a nemes, which is adorned with the iconic royal insignia of a wadjet, or a cobra, and a nekhabet, which is a vulture. These symbols represent Tutankhamun's control over Upper and Lower Egypt, and the hieroglyphs contain information about him and spells from the Book of the Dead for the afterlife. At some point in the afterlife, he lost his beard, because when the mask was found, it did not have the beard attached. It was first reattached in 1946 by a restoration team that had previously repaired other famous works, including the golden head of Horus. The beard remained intact until 2014, when it either was knocked off or taken off because it was loose. Either way, 8 museum employees faced trial because they reattached it with an epoxy. In 2015, it underwent months of restoration where wood tools and heat were used to get rid of the epoxy, and then it was reattached using beeswax, which would have been available to them at the time. The Mask of the Boy King is back on display at the GEM, or the Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo. So, to wrap up my presentation, these are my questions to consider for discussion. Do you think that there was a curse? Do you believe that the mask was made for him? How does his funerary mask compare to others of the time in Egypt or elsewhere? And do you think that there are other controversies surrounding the mask? These are all the sources that I used to complete my presentation. So, thanks for listening.